Is this the triumphant return of Billy Edwards?
Welcome to the Bucky Report, your destination for all things Wisconsin Badgers. Authentic takes.
Oh my God.
Game analysis.
Touchdown Badgers! Ring one up!
And discussion from the fan perspective.
Woo-hoo!
Thanks for joining us and on Wisconsin.
Welcome to the Bucky Report. We are your hosts, Rajiv and Justin, back together for a midweek preview episode previewing Maryland, which has quickly become one of our most important games of the season and a definite must-win game. You can find our show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. If you like what we're doing, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Appreciate all the support of the show. Justin, after a rough Alabama week, we have a nice trip back to Madison at home against the team that we are favored against. The line is 10.5. It's up from 8.5, up to 10.5.
That does not surprise me.
It is without question the biggest line we're definitely going to have the rest of the year as far as favorite. And the biggest line this might be the biggest line we have in a long time. Like, this is an absolute must-win game. How are you feeling just before we get into our three big things? What's your mindset right now coming off of Alabama heading into this week?
Yeah, I feel really good coming into this week. Bama was a train wreck, and that's fine. We were clearly out-talented, and that team is just in a better place in general than where we are. It's not a team you can go into a game where you're still trying to find yourself in certain aspects, and we clearly are. Offensive line play is, even though I felt like we in some ways took a step forward, there were a lot of still miscommunication issues and stuff like that happened in that game that just can't happen. And especially against the talent level that you're playing against. So it's one of those things where you look at it and you're kind of like, all right, we need to find a way to recalibrate, get locked in. This is kind of a get right game in some ways, but it's also a game that I look at that Wisconsin has the talent advantage in this game. And they should be able to work on some things a little bit and hopefully come out of it feeling good about themselves. I think our passing game is – let me ask you this. Yes or no, this is the best you've seen us looking at from a passing context in the last 3 years?
Yeah, I would say, I
think it's the most comfortable in the scheme in terms of watching the passing game that I have been in 3 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think there were definitely times where Tanner Mordecai looked like he was a better quarterback. I think of anyone we've had on this roster, like Tanner Mordecai is the best quarterback that we could have had.
But the scheme itself makes sense. There's guys open consistently when we're watching games.
Yeah. Before we get into our three big things, let's update everyone on, of course, the status of the quarterback, which is, of course, the big question. Billy Edwards, it sounds like he's practicing. It sounds like he's going to play. There was an interview with Danny O'Neill where Danny O'Neill's kind of like, oh, I might start, I might not. Basically, everything we're hearing is as long as Billy doesn't feel anything negative in his knee, there's no physical setbacks, he's going to play. And it's very, very welcome because we desperately need him to play. You all know how I feel about Billy Edwards and how I feel about Danny O'Neill as far as the comparison between the two. I don't think there is one. And I think we're very, very lucky to have him back. But with that, let's get into our three big things. Number one, establish the run between the tackles and use misdirection plays from MTSU and Bama that we used a lot of misdirection in those games. They're going to work a lot better against Maryland. I'm going to start with this one. I know a lot of people are saying we need to pass the ball more. We need to, maybe get away from this. I think we need to lean into it. I think you agree with me, Justin. Like, we have to run the ball. So this is week 3 of the new offensive line, right? We had them, in the MTSU game, of course, Alabama. So now we've got this whole new sort of retooled line of Maulman, Brunner, Renfro. Renfro is healthy. Not healthy, but he's going to play. And then Cubberly and Mandel on the right. Clearly, the left side of that line is the strongest side. All three of those guys are returning starters. This is not Maryland. This is not Alabama's defensive line. We need to be able to run. Now, I've heard people say, well, we couldn't run against Middle Tennessee State. How are we going to run against Maryland? Doesn't matter. We need to, because this line will have gotten better. Remember, that was about as bad as you can have an offensive line as that first half of that Maryland, the Miami game, and then the first half of the Middle Tennessee game. It's only going to get better, and it has gotten better, I think. You look at some of the numbers our running backs have put out there. Dylan Jones ran for 5 yards a carry against Alabama. Now, he only had 5 carries, but he ran for 5 yards a carry. It's not that bad as far as the numbers. We need to lean into it. And then the last thing I'll say is the misdirection. Alabama has unbelievable athletes. You watch the All-22 and you're like, holy cow. Number 18 was a missile, rocket fire. Everything we tried to do from a reverse to misdirection, it got snuffed out. Maryland's not going to be that way. Run the damn ball.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I mean, it's only going to get better. And I think a lot of the issues we're seeing with the running game right now stem from the fact that there is a lot of misdirection, and you have a lot of young guys that have not repped it a ton that are making mistakes. You're not going to get through those mistakes unless guys consistently continue to do this over and over again. This is a game where I would like to see us get to 30 carries running the ball. I think we need to. I don't know what the breakdown needs to be of that, but you need to find a way to run the football more and get some consistency in this. And then you'll have a bye week after this where we can potentially get into it and really drill on things and get guys ready to go. So the big thing for me is I feel fairly confident in the passing game. The running game needs to start to take off a little bit. Like, we need to make it some level of a threat, which I don't really feel like it is right now.
If it's not a threat, then it makes it even harder to pass the ball, right? I mean, we've got to do it. Maybe, and if you want to use the pass to set up the run, fine. I don't care which one you use to start, but we've got to be able to do it. Wisconsin cannot have a team that doesn't run. You can't do it. Look at our schedule. We're going to lose every game we play if we can't run the ball. Like, we just have to do it. And you have Riley Mahlman, Joe Brunner, and Jake Renfro on that line. They were all starters last year, and we ran the ball. I will not accept any nonsense saying that we can't do this. We have to be able to do this and figure it out. I mean, and because if you become a one-dimensional team passing the ball, we're going to get worked. I mean, that's just the bottom line, because the offensive line is not strong enough to deal with the pass pro. Look at Mandel on the right side pass pro. That was rough during Alabama. Mm-hmm. We need to be able to run. It's an absolute must. Number 2, you take this one.
Number 2, get Billy Edwards comfortable and let him cook, assuming he starts. Sorry, my camera was in the way. Yeah. Honestly, you need to get him comfortable again. Like, he barely got to get any reps in the first game. You've got to find he's got to get 20 in the 25 throws in this game. You want to probably get him started slow and hopefully get the play action game working in this. I think the offensive line is considerably better from a pass protection standpoint than it was in week 1, which is going to make a world of difference for him this week. You will see him actually be able to set up on a deep throw, which is something we did not get to see that first week, because every time he did, the blind side had somebody running him down, and he could feel that. You could tell in that game. The biggest thing I took away from it was Billy actually has a pretty good clock in his head and understanding, and he clearly has some pretty good peripheral vision, because he knew somebody was coming his way both times on those missed deep throws. Like, he was trying to get that ball out of there as quick as possible, which is probably why he didn't complete them. He was out of rhythm. He was just trying to get it up so that he didn't get destroyed on the throws.
Yeah, his blind side was absolutely a disaster, of course, Davis Heinzen, and now his blind side should be much better because Riley Mahlman's on the left, which is why I was so supportive of that. I said,
third week in a row at that spot on the
left-hand side. Like, it's very critical. Now, the right side of that line in pass pro, I don't know. We'll see. Emerson Mandel got worked against Alabama. It's Alabama. I understand that before anyone makes comments. I get it. He still got worked, as did Cubberly. So I think that, like, there is some element of, yes, he's going to have time, especially on his blind side, but he still might be under some pressure. But I want Billy Edwards to make those decisions. I want him to be back there because he's a quarterback. He's a good quarterback. He has experience. I think he will go through his progressions, and the playbook opens up more for him. And that's really critical. Now, obviously, they've worked with Danny O'Neil for a couple of weeks now, but if you watch the film, he's still making one read. Danny O'Neil is still going back there, finding a guy. He's telegraphing what he's doing. He's making the read. If it's not there, he panics, which is a lot of quarterbacks do that, by the way. Only like really good quarterbacks can go through their progressions and do that. And I think Billy Edwards has that. So I expect him to be able to make those adjustments, but get him comfortable. Short passes, intermediate stuff, like, get him in the rhythm. But then you got to let him cook, man. You got to let him do his thing, because we brought him in for a reason. We know our running game is not what we thought it was going to be. Still has to be there, but it's not going to be as, electric as we expected, which means Billy Edwards got to be the guy that can get it done. And I think he can. I really do think he can. And I hope that he just stays healthy.
Yeah, I kind of take a look at this, and from my perspective, I personally think that pass protection was not terrible against Alabama. We had some issues. There were a few plays there where we definitely had a couple sacks, but there were also times when he had some time to sit back there and kind of look through his progression a little bit. And that is not something we saw in week one. Like, it was basically get it out right away, or somebody was basically on Billy. So I do think it's a little bit better. I don't think Bama's, obviously they brought more pressure than what we would like to see, but it could have been a lot worse. Like, that could have been a 5 or 6 sack game for us, and it wasn't.
Yeah, he had time a couple times, and there were definitely at least 2 that where he missed, open receivers, and he didn't see it, and he didn't throw it in time. He tucked and run when he didn't really need to. But I mean, that's Bama. But I don't think I think Emerson Mendel did not. I mean, he didn't have a good game.
Oh, he didn't have a good game by any means. I'm just saying it wasn't as bad as week one. Like, even him,
it wasn't as bad as Davis Hines played.
Saying. I do expect him to be a little bit better this week. Number one, weaker team. Number two, it's a growth week for him. Like, this is for people that haven't paid a ton of attention or super close attention to Wisconsin. Mandel hadn't been repping right tackle since spring.
Correct.
So this is going to be his 3rd week in that spot. He's going to have exponential growth compared to most players at that, because of the fact that the little things that were mistakes that are just footwork and stuff like that, they're going to keep beating it into his head. This is how you adjust to that, and this is how you react to that so you don't get beat on it. And the footwork is going to be the big thing. That's the reason I didn't want him moved to tackle to begin with, but this is where we're at. He's going to have to get that footwork down. I expect it to get better as the season goes on. He's got all the physical tools in the world. It's a matter of him just getting it repped enough where he's capable of using those physical tools to maximize his ability there.
Yeah. Before we move on to number 3, I did want to ask, I asked Ryan this last night. What are your thoughts on, and we probably can start at guard, that's fine, but what are your thoughts about Ryan Corey playing guard? I mean, he looked really good last week, although it only be like 10 or 12 snaps at center.
You mean at center?
But, yeah, I mean, I'm saying play him at guard. Like, if Renfro plays center, what about putting Corey at the right guard position potentially, or like a swing interior guy that could potentially, get some reps in there? I think Corey looked really nice last week. It was a really good debut for him against one of the best defensive lines in America. Doesn't he deserve a chance to play?
So my perspective on this is, number one, as long as it doesn't take away from him repping center, I don't really care. But number two, when he originally came in, I actually viewed him as a guard. Yeah. I thought that he was a plus. He was a good athlete at that spot. I thought Cubberly seemed a little heavy-footed to me, and I think he's more of a brute, whereas Corey's a little bit more of just a fluid athlete at that spot. So I like him at that spot, but I understand them wanting to continue with him at center. I'm almost of the mindset that I don't have an issue with Corey necessarily playing more center, at this point. If Renfro's banged up, I don't have an issue with him just going out. If that's the level of play we're going to see from Corey being in there, I would like to see him get experience so he's ready to play next year.
Yeah, I mean, I hear that. Ryan said the similar thing. I don't. If Renfro can play, I want Renfro to play. He has more experience than anybody out there. He played all 12 games last year. He is a good center. Is
he though?
I mean, I think he is.
I think he's solid. I don't know if I would push good. I think Corey's a much better athlete.
I don't think Corey's going to be better though at center.
No, I think, but I guess my question would be is if he's dinged up and not 100%, I think having somebody who's capable of athletically moving out there is just probably a net positive for you over the lack of experience.
I agree that if Renfro is banged up and if Renfro can't play and he's nursing his knee injury or ankle, whatever he has, I'm fine with Corey playing center. But I still want Renfro to play because this line is beleaguered. This line,
if he's healthy, it's
I want Renfro out there because I want the most experience because we need to run the damn ball. So I want him playing. But I would honestly, I want to give Corey just a shot. I'm not saying we need to. I know we don't want to change up the line more, and I'm not saying change up the tackle. I'm taking one spot. If you have some interplay between Corey and Cubberly at right guard, I think we would see Corey play pretty well at right guard. Just saying.
I think you do it. I absolutely think. As long as it doesn't take away from his development at center, and it's the same thing with Logan Powell. Like, I know that guy can play all three of the interior positions. Like, he could develop and be good at any one of the three, but you're going to need a backup center next year. If you're going to start him repping on that, I want it now, because I feel like we waited till this spring to get Corey at center rather than last year. And because of that, now it's one of those situations where think of where he'd be had he started repping last year at this.
Yeah.
Now he's growing fast, and he looked pretty darn good against Bama, but he would have been more comfortable with the calls and everything else had he been starting on this last year. And that's why I want Powell doing it too. That's two really good young players that potentially could play that role that you feel good about. And I would feel probably good about either one of them going into next year if Powell gets the work in.
Yeah.
But you need to have two guys.
The line's going nowhere but up from here because it's pretty much at rock bottom.
Absolutely.
All right, number 3, get pressure on Washington and disrupt passing routes. This is something I was upset we didn't do enough of last week, was disrupting passing routes, playing a little press. Malik Washington, freshman quarterback, true freshman quarterback out of Maryland, 62% completion percentage, over 700 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He looks pretty good. He only has 5 rushes for 28 yards. He's still mobile, but he's not necessarily attacking with his feet. However, he is good. And he is a weapon that Maryland fans are extremely excited about him. So we do need to respect that. And our pass rush is solid. We've all been impressed with pass rush. I want to get serious pressure on him. And I'm talking blitzing. Like, I want to force him into tough decisions. He is a freshman, and he hasn't seen the teams they've played nowhere near the defensive line that we have. That is without a doubt. So we need to put pressure on him, get him off the spot, and don't just sit back and try to pick him apart. Like, let's get after him, disrupt those routes, because that is when Malik Washington is going to make mistakes.
Yeah, I was just going to say the 3 teams that he's played so far, just to say, check yourself a little bit here, Maryland fans. FAU, Northern Illinois, and Townsend. I expect, those are 3 games you can get away with having a true freshman quarterback starting, and he's played well. The level of talent and ability that's going to come in the front 7 from Wisconsin is a major leap from what he's seen. And I expect the corners to look better this week, at least in part because of the fact that I think they are going to be in his kitchen the entire game. I do think that the pass rush is going to be there. Last year, Maryland's offensive line was horrific. They still can't run the ball this year. They have less rushing yards than us. And we've talked about how broken our rushing game is. So I expect us to be able to completely make them one-dimensional, and I expect us to be basically sicking the dogs on him in this game. I think we're going to rush him a lot and make him prove that he can deal with the blitz.
Yeah, because now we've proven we can stop the run. So that's not really a weapon that people are going to use against us. I mean,
and they can't do enough to hurt us anyways.
Right. If Alabama can't run on us, Maryland's not going to run on us. But what we've got to do is get some pressure. So I agree with you. I expect this to happen. I expect him to but he's still good. He is good. He's not anybody that we can just he's better than Daquan Finn. I even think Daquan Finn is who we played against Miami. I think that he is a good quarterback, and we need to respect it.
I think my pushback on that would be is we need to see what he does against a Power 4 team that actually can disrupt him a little bit, because I think he's worked mostly clean so far. It will be very interesting to see what type of throws he makes when he's actually got somebody that can pressure him.
Right,
so I think Finn is that's actually what I compared them to, is kind of Miami of Ohio. I'm like, this is probably going to be in that kind of wheelhouse of type of game where I look at it and I'm like, they're not really going to scare us a whole lot offensively. Like, I'm sure they'll put up some points in this game, but I don't think we're going to ever feel like we're going to struggle with them in their offense, because I don't think they're balanced enough to do it. And I think that we're good enough in the front 7 to really cause some issues for them, because I still don't think their offensive line is very good. Yeah. And I think that we're good enough defensively that we're an above average defense that's going to show itself in most of the games where we're not outmatched talent-wise.
Well, those are our keys. Let's talk about our predictions.
The Bucky Report predictions.
Another early kick, 11 a.m. Maryland visits Camp Randall Stadium. Huge game, massive win necessary. We all said before the season we had to be 3-1 after the first 4, and here we go. We have to be 3-1 after the first 4 to have any real shot at a bowl game 7 wins, whatever you think is going to happen. This is one of those must wins. Justin, what is your prediction?
Yeah, I had this game at 27-10.
Ooh, 27.
I think our defense is going to do work in this game. I think that Washington's going to struggle a little bit. I do think we can get him into a couple of picks because I think he's going to have people in his lap a lot in this game.
So I do think we win. I think that my concern is that, when you look at across the non-con games last year, the non-con games this year, early part of the season, right? We always we think we're gonna beat someone pretty bad, and we end up having this sort of butt puckered moments and being either down in the fourth quarter, up a score in the fourth quarter. I just don't see this being that different. Okay, I do think we win. The spread's 10.5. I'm staying away from it. It's not one of my locks. I'm not touching it. If I was going to bet on this game, I would probably bet on Maryland though, just because I just feel like it's going to be closer than we think it's going to be. Now, I would love for this to be a blowout. Nothing would please me more than to have a 27-10 or a 42-15 or whatever. Just a nice, comfortable win to set ourselves up into the bye week and then going on to the road to Michigan to see what we can salvage from the season and how good we can actually be. I do think it's a little tight. I do think it's a one-score game going in the fourth quarter, and we're going to be like, ooh, we could lose this. But the pressure on Malik Washington and hopefully our ability to run, I think, is better. So I have this score at 24-17. I think it's a one-score game, maybe 27-17 or something, but I still think it's under 10.5. It might be a 10-point because a late field goal one way. Who knows? But I don't think it's going to be comfortable. And I hate to admit that, but I do think we win, and it's a must win. But again, similar to what we said going into Bama, it's not necessarily what the final scores is how we look. Yeah. Can we run the ball? Can we disrupt Malik Washington? Can we show that we're the better team? Which, if you look at power rankings for the Big Ten right now, people have Maryland above us. That's crazy, but it is. People, you can see
we have a loss.
And the bottom line is
how simple people are.
This is where we prove that we are above that bottom tier in the conference, and then we go play our brutal schedule. But it's got to be a win, man, and it's crazy. I'm not going to be on the Locked On Badgers reaction show this weekend because I'm going to be playing golf during this game. So I'll watch a little bit of it, then I'll have it on my cart, my little magnet, watching it. I
don't even know when that's supposed to take place because we're going to be at the stadium. So
yeah,
Ryan,
you're going this weekend?
Yep.
Nice. I didn't know you guys were going. That's awesome. Yep. Fantastic.
Got a buddy that hooked us up. So we're going to be down there for the game.
Love it. And of course, the full meetup, of course, is Iowa. We're all going to be there. Justin, myself, Ryan, of course, Locked On Badgers. We're going to do the whole thing. We'll do a meetup. We'll do some events, whatever. We'll put something together, but it will be a lot of fun. Go check out Saturday Locks, that separate YouTube channel, and wherever you get your podcasts on Friday for my picks of the week. Check out however the reaction show gets done on Saturday. Go check that out. And of course, we will be back on Sunday to break all this down and talk about the Badgers headed into the bye week. Thank you for joining us. And as always, on Wisconsin.
On Wisconsin.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Bucky Report or The Bucky Report Podcast from wherever you get your content. Until next time, on Wisconsin.